Am I the a-hole for discouraging my wife from getting a sexy photo shoot? Hi, I'm Rachel and welcome to Snacks and Scandals, where snacks meet Reddit story scandals. Today's episode theme has to do with husbands who just don't get it. And to go along with our episode theme today, we have Pringles Hot Ones. And these are bold, spicy, and bring in the heat, just like our three stories. So here we have a Hot Ones Verde, we have a Hot Ones Barbacoa, and a Hot Ones Rojo. So before we try our snack, we're going to read our first story. Our first story comes from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for discouraging my wife from getting a sexy photo shoot? My 29-year-old male wife, 29-year-old female, follows a local photographer on Facebook. This photographer specializes in taking boudoir photos, which are tasteful pictures of women not wearing much, but some lingerie or a single article of clothing, such as just a t-shirt. My wife had previously mentioned that she might be interested in something like this. When I asked why, she said, "I thought you would like the pictures." Anyway, the photographer is doing a session of boudoir photos in a few months, and my wife excitedly asked me if I cared if she signed up. The fee is $250, which includes hair, makeup, and printed photos along with the photo shoot. Now, this is where I'm going to sound like a jerk. My wife has had major self-esteem issues, disordered eating habits stemming from her self-esteem issues. I'm afraid if she spends all this money to get pictures done, she's going to be really upset when they don't look like some of the other girls' photos this photographer has on her Facebook page, and it's going to bring up all of these self-esteem issues again. My wife had her son a few years ago, so her stomach isn't as toned as it used to be. She's still hanging on to a bit of extra weight from having our baby. I wouldn't call her fat or anything, but she's definitely going to be disappointed if she spends all this money on what she thinks is going to be amazing pictures. I told her that the pictures on the photographer's Facebook page were probably of women who hadn't had kids yet. She got upset and told me that that was mean. I told her that maybe if she considered toning up a bit, she would enjoy a photo shoot more and would be more happy with the end results. She's been distant since I said that. I'm not trying to be a dick, but we have a joint banking account. That money is my money too, and I don't want her to spend it on something she's not going to like that could potentially cause her to spiral back into disordered eating. Am I the a-hole for discouraging my wife for paying for these? Oh my gosh, this is a very difficult read because clearly the husband doesn't think highly of the wife if he continually says how she's going to be really disappointed in the photos. Obviously, she feels good enough within herself that she wants to even get these photos done. And she should do it just for her own well-being and for her own sake. So there are some updates to this story, and before we get into the comments, we'll read those updates. Edit, she's currently probably around 5'1" and 107 pounds. So not overweight, but I think it would be worth it for her to start eating better and working out more before getting these pictures taken. Edit 2. Wow, okay, I didn't expect this to get this much hate. First of all, it's our money. I wouldn't spend $250 on something without consulting her, and if she had doubts, I'd listen to her. Second, I was never harsh or mean. You just said that you're going to sound like a jerk. Okay. We pride ourselves in having a very honest relationship. What I said was honest. She's got some extra meat on her from having a baby. I never said I thought she was unattractive because of it. I'd hate for her to be so excited about these pictures only to hate them. Third, yes, I know her height and weight. I go to many of her appointments with her. The stats I gave were from her most recent checkup in August. Fourth, we've been together for 10 years. Prior to getting pregnant, she was around 95 pounds. Okay, so what, 12 pounds off? That's not even that much. And was healthy, not starving herself. That was her post-eating disorder weight, I believe. So I'm not being a bully by telling her maybe she wants to wait until she loses some of the weight because I know she can afford to lose some and still be healthy. This husband, okay, I would not be telling her this if she was on the verge of being sickly underweight. I want her to get these photos eventually. Trust me, I do. I just want her to see how beautiful she is and not pick them apart like I know she's going to at her current weight. Clearly, she does think that she's beautiful. And she already sees it, and you don't. Okay, another update. Okay, so I guess majority wins, and I'm the a-hole. For the record, I never told her that she had to lose weight. I told her the photos might look more of what she wants them to if she does. Also, I used to be very muscular. 6-pack abs when we first started dating. I'm admittedly softer now than I was back then. Still muscular and visible abs, just not as cut as I was in my early 20s. If someone took professional photos of me bearing it all, I would probably be unsatisfied with them and start being harder on myself. That's just the way I feel. I assumed she would feel the same. I was just trying to save her from embarrassment and self-consciousness after seeing the photos because she isn't a skinny toned 21-year-old anymore. That's all. Oh my, this guy. Okay. All right. Now for the final update. I thought about what you guys all said and realized I need to talk to my wife and explain myself. No, I think you've tried explaining enough. I think you're done. I sat her down and said she should get the pictures taken. She said, no, that's okay. You're right. It was a bad idea. I told her I think she's perfect and I just want her to see herself that way too. Clearly, she already does see herself that way. You don't. And was afraid if she was going to be overcritical of herself when she saw the pictures. She agreed that she probably would be, and right now she's not as confident because her words, not mine, she isn't as thin as she used to be. Your words too, that's all you said earlier. She said she wants to lose some weight before she gets the pictures taken and said she will hold off on scheduling them until she gets into a gym routine. I told her I will support her no matter what she decides to do. And yes, I told her I'm an a-hole and need to rethink things before I speak. I'm hoping I didn't trigger her old eating habits, but I guess that's a post for a different sub. This poor wife, she is married to a complete moron. Okay, let's read some comments. You're the a-hole, wow, 5'1" and 107 pounds, and you're trying to discourage her for getting nice pictures done of herself because you're worried the pictures will make her spiral back into an eating disorder. Maybe it's her husband who thinks his 107-pound wife, who has a stomach that isn't as toned as it used to be after having a baby. Oh man, where is the man disposal service? Oh, you're the a-hole. With the way you've described her, I wouldn't at all be surprised if your own words and actions have a lot to do with her self-esteem issues. If she thinks it will make her feel better about herself, then who are you to poison that hope with the things you've said so far? You're the a-hole, huge, gaping. A good boudoir photographer knows how to get flattering angles, and the pictures will be touched up. She was feeling confident enough to want to do something empowering, and you crapped all over her. Great job. Yeah, no kidding. Your poor wife. You're the a-hole and either a troll or an abuser. She has a BMI of 19 and a history of disordered eating, and you tell her to tone up? What the F, dude? Okay, and our final comment, the consensus is you're the a-hole. Well, you don't have to worry about a photo shoot causing her any self-esteem issues. It seems like you have already done that on lock. That poor woman has to live with you. I can't tell if you are that dense and toxic or if this is just a troll. I think that this guy is just that dense, and I want to hear what you guys think about this husband, this poor wife. He is absolutely the a-hole. Okay, now we are going to get into our first snack. Let's start with the Verde one. It should be the least spicy. Very strong Verde scent. They're kind of green. They have a green hue to them. Wow, okay. Spicier than I anticipated. A lot spicier. Okay, well, Hot Ones is living up to its name for sure. But it's got that lovely Verde flavor. I love a Verde. It tastes so good. And these ones are pretty tasty too. Now let's get into our second story. And our second story comes from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for walking out of the hospital after hearing my wife's diagnosis? I, 33, got a call from the ER on Friday saying that my wife, 32, drove herself there because of severe pelvic pain. I'm on a business trip until Saturday, but I drive back in time to be there Saturday morning before she woke up. A while after she wakes up, the doctor comes in. My wife says to stay with her, so I say okay. He takes a deep breath and said that from the transvaginal ultrasound and CT scan results, she has ovarian cancer. My wife starts sobbing, but at first I say stay still because I don't even know what to make of it. My wife asks what that means for her, and he says that she'll likely at least need a full hysterectomy, and they'd have to remove the fallopian tubes as well as the ovaries. That news jolted me from my chair because the doctor was effectively telling me that she wouldn't be able to have kids after this, and after years of work, I thought we'd finally have a family. I'm overwhelmed with emotions of anger, not just anger at the disease, but pent-up anger from the fact that I had begged her to have kids since we were 26, but she refused for her career. And now, instead of becoming a real family, I don't even know if she would remain the woman I married, whether the last picture of us together would be the last time I'd remember her looking beautiful, young, and carefree. Because the wife I have in front of me was already a different person. My wife started to grab my hand and say, "We'll fight this and we'll adopt." But I shook my head and turned to walk out the door. I still had my suitcase in the car, so I drove to a hotel because I didn't know if my wife was going to end up being discouraged or what. At the hotel, I was at least able to get out of a reactive mode, but I was still so disappointed that our dream of a family was over. I was finally able to get a grasp on all of my emotions and feel more like my normal self, in that I knew exactly what I felt about every aspect and how I would react to it from here on out. I get a call from my mother-in-law saying that if I was at a hotel or whatever else, I should just stay there. Am I the a-hole for walking out? I admit it was done on impulse, but the diagnosis just sliced my life and my wife's life wide open. I wasn't going to expel the cancer if I stayed that night, but I did at least make myself aware of this situation. And I feel I have a right to be angry that my hope of biological kids, the only kind I ever wanted, is rapidly fading away. Well, yeah, you are absolutely an a-hole. When your wife finds out she's got cancer, you decide to full on leave and go to a hotel when you could have just stepped out in the hall, gathered yourself, taken a 10-minute break, and then come back just to be there for your wife. Put your own emotions aside. I cannot believe that. That poor woman. Yeah, definitely the a-hole. So let's read some comments. You're the a-hole. All your wife seems to be is an incubator. You have no regards for her feelings and abandon her at the worst moment. You're the a-hole. Ovarian cancer can be deadly. Your wife was lying there in pain, terrified, fearing for her life, and probably also mourning the loss of being able to carry a child and needing you more than anything. And what do? Leave. You've shown her that when she is at her lowest, you will put yourself first and walk out on her, literally, and that she can only count on herself and her mom. Thank goodness her mom was there, for her at least. Yeah, you might come around, but she likely won't feel she can trust you and you to not walk out again. Not to mention that you could have had her eggs harvested when they take out her ovaries and have a surrogate. But either way, you're a major a-hole. And honestly, I wouldn't want to have a kid with someone like you anyway. Right? He didn't even ask about what the options are. He just immediately thought of himself that he only wants biological children, and that was that. And his wife couldn't do it for him, so he was mad. He was mad at his wife. You're the a-hole. Way to make your wife's life-changing diagnosis all about you. You're the a-hole. Seriously, women aren't just baby machines. Your wife has cancer and you're throwing a tantrum that you might have to adopt. Grow the F up. And our final comment reads, you're the a-hole. This is affecting her way more than it's affecting you. You're basically saying you value potential life more than your own wife's actual life. She has cancer and all you can think of is how it hurts you. Wow. Yeah, just wow on this one. I want to hear from you guys what you think of this husband. How does he compare to the first? I think so far, my opinion, this is the worst husband we have so far today. And now let's try our second chip, the Barbacoa. Whoa. Wow. feel like I'm going to sneeze. That is really strong. Eggs are really strong, okay? I'm a little scared. All right, we've got some hint of red on these ones. As if I really need to smell these anymore. I already smelled them, almost sneezed, and let's give it a try. Ooh, right away it has a very good flavor. And I'm not getting much heat. There's a little bit, but not much, but those have a really, really good flavor. And our final story comes from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? Am I the a-hole for expecting my wife to keep the same responsibilities after a career change? I made a throwaway account so I, a 35-year-old male, could post this. My wife, a 40-year-old female, recently changed careers and has started a new job. I have been supportive throughout her entire career change and tried to help her in any way possible along the way. However, things have changed since she started this job. She's much more exhausted and she comes home from work compared to before. And instead of dealing with this and managing change, she expects me to cater to her schedule when I have my own work schedule to still manage. Her old work schedule was 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. Because she started work around the same time as our kids, 10 male and a 7-year-old male, had to be at school, she would wake them up and get them ready in the morning and make sure they got to school. I didn't do this because I wake up between 9 and 10 a.m. every day and she was waking up around the time they needed to, so it made more sense. I work 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Her new job is working 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., same amount of work hours per day as me. Our kids need to wake up at 6:30 a.m. to make it to school on time. I figured she would start getting them ready after coming back from work and go to sleep afterwards since she had this responsibility before. Plus, it would only be an extra hour of staying awake maximum. When we discussed how our new schedules would be with her new work hours, she was expecting me to start waking up early to get the kids ready instead of her. I am not a morning person and she functions much better early than I do. I said this expectation is unfair to me because I still have my own work schedule to manage and it shouldn't be on me to change that for a career move she decided to make under no pressure from me. She thinks I'm being inconsiderate and expecting too much from her. It's been tense between us ever since we argued about this and it feels like an elephant in the room. Am I the a-hole? Yes, you agreed for her to go back to work and said that you would support her and help her along the way, and you're doing the complete opposite. You expect her to still hold up every single thing that she did before, plus her job, and not help in the least. So yes, you are the a-hole. So let's read some comments. Your wife is handling both mornings and the afternoon dinner shuffle while working overnight while you sleep until 9 to 10 and deal with none of it? What exactly do you do for the kids? You're the a-hole without a doubt. You're the a-hole. It's almost like you have to be a parent. Way to let your wife do all the heavy lifting and saying she functions better in the mornings is a total cop-out. Your wife did what had to be done because you were sleeping. You're the a-hole. You're a parent too, and you need to divide up the kids' morning duties. So caring for the kids is the wife's job and you deserve to sleep and she doesn't. Enjoy your divorce. You're the a-hole. Another person wrote, I'm just here to see you get cooked in the comments. Yeah, and he is getting cooked, fried up, burnt, really. You're the a-hole. Are you seriously asking if you're the a-hole because you are unwilling to share parenting duties? And our final comment reads, you're the a-hole. You act like these kids are not your responsibility at all. Like she should have handled everything. It should be a compromise between the two of you. Heaven forbid you not get all of your sleep, your beauty sleep, that is. He sounds like a little princess and is totally acting like one. So I want to hear from you what you guys think of this husband. Is he being unfair, unreasonable, selfish? I would say so, but I want to hear from you what you all think. And let's try our final Pringles Hot Ones now. Okay, smells good. Doesn't smell spicy or anything so far. They are very bright red, so hopefully that doesn't mean they're going to be too spicy. Whoa, they have a tang to them. These are tangy. Los Calientes. Okay, there's some heat coming in. If you like tangy, I think you're gonna really like this flavor. And now that we've tried all of our chips, let's rank the heat between the three, rate them overall, and would I buy them again? So the Verde were actually the spiciest. The Rojo were definitely tangy, and the heat is lingering there. There is some heat, but it's lingering. And I would say that the Barbacoa is probably the second spiciest. So we've got the Verde is the most spicy. Barbacoa is the second least, and the Rojo is probably the least spicy, even though the heat is lingering there. As far as flavor goes, I really liked the Verde flavor, but this Barbacoa had a delicious flavor. I really liked the flavor of that one. Overall, I would rank the Barbacoa an 8, the Verde a 7, and the Rojo, I would probably give it a 4 because the tanginess kind of throws me off, and maybe that's what Rojo is. I'm not sure. If you know, let me know. But would I buy these again? I would for sure buy the Barbacoa again. I thought that it was very tasty and really enjoyed that flavor. So let me know if you've tried any of these Hot Ones Pringles chips and what you thought of today's stories. I thank you so much for watching today's episode, and I hope you'll join me for the next one.